From the News Channel 5 Network, this is SportsLine.
Hey there, SportsLine on your television. Steve Lehman here with you. Glad you are here with us on this Tuesday night on News Channel 5 Plus. Coming up tonight, we want to hear from you. Vanderbilt going to make a basketball hire. Bryce Drew, the Valparaiso head basketball coach, going to be the head basketball coach now here at Vanderbilt, trading in one VU for another VU. And I think it's a very interesting hire. It's kind of a cultural fit. Drew, of course, at a private school in Valparaiso, has done wonders there. He's a guy that has an NBA background, having played there. He coached under his dad, Homer Drew, who's long been associated with the Valparaiso program. He's built on that success, 5 seasons there, 124 wins, so nearly 25 a year. Had a school record 30 wins this year. Probably should have been in the tournament for the 3rd time in 5 years. They go to the NIT and advance all the way to the NIT final. This is a guy that's accomplished, but he's also not a Power 5 name that necessarily people have thought a lot about before right now. He's a rising star in the coaching profession, very well respected, but it's not Pitt getting Kevin Stallings. It's not UCLA landing Steve Alford when they did it, things like that. It's not a guy that was already at that established level or that Power 5 level that's now moving to a new job. TCU getting Jamie Dixon, which led to the Pitt stuff. So if you're a Vandy fan, how do you respond to this? How do you feel about Bryce Drew being the head coach? Want to hear from you tonight. 737-7767 is the number. Want to get your thoughts on Bryce Drew. Want to get your thoughts on this program. Also news today, Wade Baldwin officially putting his name in for the NBA draft. So Drew's first order of business probably going to be figuring out who's going to bring the ball up the court for this team without Wade Baldwin around. The Predators on the ice tonight taking on the Colorado Avalanche. This was a team that denied the Preds a shot at clinching a playoff berth last week. Preds now in, obviously, playing the Avalanche again, and chance for payback tonight because a win by the Preds would eliminate Colorado from the playoffs. So, chance to do that, and more importantly for the Preds, just a chance to get back on track. This is a team now that's lost 4 consecutive games. So, get some momentum going before they get set for the playoffs next week. Back to college basketball. What a game last night for the national championship game. This is the other topic I really want to get to tonight with you guys. What were your reactions down the stretch there? Marcus Page hitting that double clutch shot to tie the game in the final seconds. I mean, that is a shot for the ages in the NCAA tournament, certainly in championship games. And then it goes and gets one-upped by Chris Jenkins. The buzzer beater for Villanova, just an incredible finish to a very good game and, frankly, a really good tournament. I know the second weekend wasn't as good as the first weekend. The final 4 games themselves were not very good, but that championship game was one of the best we've ever seen. I know some people have called it the best today. Certainly the finish, the last 10, 15 seconds of that game were as good as it gets. And here's what I love about it. It was players making plays. Villanova goes to the foul line with whatever it was, 13.9 seconds left or something like that. They've got a 1-point lead. And Phil Booth steps up and knocks down both free throws to make it a 3-point game. It's a guy making plays. It's not missing shots at the line and giving the other team a chance. He did everything he could. He made the free throws. He made it a 3-point game. North Carolina comes down the court. And Marcus Page hits that impossible shot. And we're tied. Once again, it's a player making a play. It's a shot at the end of the game with the national championship and the trophy and immortality and all that stuff on the line. It's making the shot. And then when it's tied and it looks for all the world that this game is going to overtime, and you wonder if Villanova is even going to get a shot, even going to get a good look in 4 seconds. They come down the court with a beautiful play, and Chris Jenkins rises up and knocks it down. Just what a finish, what a game, clutch shot making, and just congratulations to Villanova. This is a program that has been really good under Jay Wright. It has been an elite basketball program. Made it to a Final Four in 2009, but because of some slip-ups in recent years, it kind of had the knock that they couldn't win the big game, or that Jay Wright couldn't win the big game. And clearly that is the furthest thing from the truth, because if you look at their run here, Sweet 16, they beat a 3 seed in Miami. Elite 8, they beat Kansas, who's the #1 overall seed in the tournament. They get to the Final Four. They beat Oklahoma. Buddy Hield, maybe the best player in the country. They hold him to 9 points, and they destroy Oklahoma. Biggest margin of victory in Final Four history against a good team, a top 5 team, certainly a team in the Final Four. They just obliterated them. And then they get in the championship against the preseason #1 in North Carolina, a team that looked great in the tournament, a team that's got pros everywhere, and they figure out a way to win again. That is one of the great tournament runs of any champion that we've seen. And they did it emphatically. I mean, Villanova beat probably the 2 best teams in the country besides themselves. They beat Kansas, who was the #1 overall seed, and North Carolina, who was the preseason #1 and obviously did a lot of damage in the tournament. They beat those 2 teams, and they destroyed everyone else. That is an impressive run. And how about Jay Wright? Well, I'm lauding him for everything that he's done and the great play call and the adjustments on defense and all of that, and getting the win and getting the national championship. How about his reaction to Chris Jenkins' shot? Stone cold. I mean, Jay Wright said bang as soon as he shot it. As soon as it went in, he starts walking the other way to go shake Roy Williams' hand. That was, I love to play poker with the guy, because that was the most in control I could possibly imagine someone being, who just won a national championship on a last-second all-time great shot. So congratulations to Villanova and Jay Wright and Chris Jenkins. All those guys probably not going to pay for drinks anytime soon in Philadelphia, because they are heroes back there today. Phone lines are open tonight. 737-7767 is the number. Vandy hiring Bryce Drew, your impressions of that. What you thought of last night's championship game? That shot, that game, where does it all fall? You tell us. 737-7767. Also, the women's championship game tonight. UConn going for a 75th consecutive win, an unprecedented 4th consecutive national title. That has never been done on the women's side. They have the opportunity to do that behind Breanna Stewart and Mariah Jefferson and company. When you watch a game like that, and we'll watch it tonight, do you root for history? Or do you root for the upset and the underdog in Syracuse to do it? I can see it from both sides. I love to see history. Love to see history happen. But also love the underdog story. And it would be history tonight if Syracuse could win as well. It certainly would be the most shocking, and it would be the most riveting story if Syracuse somehow pulled that off tonight. But we will obviously wait and see. All right, phone lines are open, 737-7767. Let's go to Lee tonight. Lee, good evening. You're first up on SportsLine.
All right.
Go ahead, Lee. You're on the air.
How are you?
Doing well.
Good. Listen, I didn't. Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, Lee, turn down your TV because it's on a delay.
Okay. Sorry about that. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you taking my call. I missed the Final Four. The reason is because I'm disabled, and this is concerning me as far as sports later on. And I've been a big-time sports fanatic for many years. I'm 62 years old, and the problem is, I'm on a limited income, and they don't show it on local channels anymore. And I'm afraid this has become the norm, and, I was just kind of disappointed. I saw the replay of what little bit the Final Four. It looked like a great game and a great ending, and so anyway, this is a complaining senior. Hoping maybe you can give me some insight on this.
Yeah, Lee, I don't know if I can give you a good answer. The answer is that CBS and Turner have combined to do their NCAA tournament coverage over the last 6 years now. And part of the agreement was eventually TBS would get some of the Final Fours. And this was the first year that they had the Final Four and the championship game on TBS, on the Turner networks. And that was part of the deal. People at CBS knew it up front. The trade-off in the positive for a lot of people is the fact that in the old days, you used to have one channel covering all the early round games. You had CBS doing it. And if you had two buzzer beaters going on simultaneously, you were guaranteed to miss one of them because you couldn't turn the channel. There wasn't another option. That's been solved now with this partnership. The problem is, to make it fair for Turner and the whole deal, it means CBS isn't always going to have the Final Four and isn't always going to have the national championship game, and that certainly is a problem for situations like you just described. And we've discussed it. John Burton's takeaway on Sunday night actually was about that.
I've seen that.
Sometimes you just it's too bad. Change happens all the time, but is this really a good change to go to the championship game being on cable television as opposed to quote-unquote free television and on one of the networks? And I think the answer that we all agree on that, certainly at this network and at our station, is no. It's not good. We would have preferred to have that amazing game on our channel last night and our news to follow it. But unfortunately, that's just the reality of the situation these days.
Right, yeah. Well, lack of a better word, I almost feel like I'm discriminated against.
Yeah, I know it. I know it's a tough thing, Lee, and we appreciate the call. A lot of people were frustrated about that last night, and what's interesting is the ratings came out today. And for that game, which was one of the greatest championship games, certainly in NCAA tournament history, but one of the great championship games in any sport that we've seen, the ratings were down. The ratings were down last night from certainly last year and even from some of the recent championship games on CBS that didn't have great ratings. It was one of the worst ratings for a championship games that there's ever been. And the only real answer for that is the fact that it was on TBS. People couldn't find the game. People don't have TBS. Didn't pay for that cable part of the subscription. So you have more people watching together on fewer television sets. It's more widely available on the internet now and streaming. So you probably had more people doing that last night. But the ratings are down. And that'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what executives think about that as they move forward. I don't have the deal directly in front of me. I believe next year the Final Four is back on CBS, and then 2 years from now I think it's back on TBS, if I have it right. I think they're kind of on an every other year schedule now, so we'll see. But certainly a lot of people in the same camp as Lee hoping that the Final Four will get back on free TV, back on CBS. We're, as John said the other night, it's where it belongs. It's where it's been for a long time, and a game like last night should have been easy for everybody to see. Let's sneak in one more phone call here before we go to the break. Is that still David, Courtney? Okay. David, good evening. You're on SportsLine.
Hey, Steve. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Hey, I believe Coach True is coming back. I remember what Coach Skinner was like when he was at Vanderbilt. And I believe Coach True is going to put Vandy back on the map. And, how it was so hard to beat Vandy here in Nashville and everything. And who knows, he may be able to go to Lexington.
Go to Lexington and win?
Uh-huh.
Are you saying go into Lexington and win?
I think he will. I think that's what Vandy has needed. To me, he's a better coach than what Coach Stallings is. And I just believe he's going to put Vanderbilt back on the map. I believe if anybody can beat Kentucky and Lexington, it's Coach Drew. And I'll hang up and listen to your answer. Thank you.
All righty. Well, I think certainly Vanderbilt hopes that Bryce Drew is the answer. That's why they're giving him a 6-year deal. And they believe he's going to put them on the map. They believe he's going to get them consistently to NCAA tournaments and allow them to compete in the SEC. We'll see if he can go into Kentucky. I mean, that's the gold standard of the SEC right now, is being able to go up against John Calipari's troops and win, especially at Rupp Arena. That's a tough task for anybody. But here are the things that I love about Bryce Drew. Bryce Drew has the pedigree. He grew up in a coach's family. His brother's a successful coach. His dad was a successful coach. He's already been a successful coach. And I think he's going to embrace the culture at Vanderbilt. And that's something I said the other night. That was my takeaway. Looking at this Vanderbilt job is the perception that's out there. I think a lot of people in Nashville, we all love this city, and rightfully so. It is a great place. It should be a great place to go to school. It should be a great place to recruit to. And so I think we all have the belief that Vanderbilt should be a very, very good college basketball job. The interesting thing for me is when I talk to coaches around the country who don't live here last week, their reactions about the job were kind of widespread. Some people thought it was a very good job. Other people thought, ooh, that's difficult. That's a very difficult school to get into, which means it's difficult to recruit. And if you have a tough time recruiting, it's obviously difficult to win. And also, the expectations from all of us who believe it should be a good job and that there's no obstacles to having success at Vanderbilt. Some other coaches look at what happened to Kevin Stallings. He's the winningest coach in Vanderbilt basketball history. He went to 7 tournaments in 17 seasons, which is a better 17-year span than anybody else has had. And during that span is like 4th in the SEC, only behind Kentucky, Tennessee, and Florida. So when you look at it that way, he had a pretty successful tenure at Vanderbilt, and they were practically throwing a party when he left to go to Pittsburgh last week. And now sometimes things just run its course and you need a change after 17 seasons. I think this change is good for all parties. But other coaches pay attention to that stuff. And those types of expectations, perhaps in their mind unrealistic, shapes how they view the job. And that's the thing to me that excites me so much about Bryce Drew is he understands the culture. He's going to embrace what Vanderbilt is all about. Private school, great academics, certain type of a kid and athlete that you can recruit there. And he's going to embrace that. He's going to run with it. He's going to excite the fan base, and he's going to win. That, to me, is why Bryce Drew is a home run hire for David Williams and Vanderbilt right now. We'll get back into more of that when we come back. Got to get to our first break here. We are running behind. Also, one more of your phone calls, 737-7767. Bryce Drew to Vandy. What do you think? Call us up. This is SportsLine on News Channel 5+.